Zira hid inside a dark storage unit on the human cargo ship, her small silver body curled up beside crates of metal parts and energy cells. Her 4 fingers held tightly onto the sides of her scanner. The scanner showed a message: Destination, Earth. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Safe for now." Zira was from Veltrax, a planet full of rules, honor, and arranged marriages. She was promised to a military commander 3 times her age. She didn't want power or titles, she wanted freedom. She wanted to explore, to learn, and most of all, to escape that marriage. So she ran, snuck into a trade port, and found this human ship leaving for Earth. She didn't know much about humans, only what the Veltrax archives taught: primitive, emotional, unpredictable, and dangerous. The files said, some said humans were brave, others said they were monsters. But one line had stayed in Zira's memory: humans have strange romantic behaviors, and their males often eat their females. She had never understood that line until now, when she heard it herself. The ship's speakers played recorded conversations from the human crew. Zira listened quietly every night, learning their language word by word. Then one evening, she heard it. 2 human workers were laughing, and one said, "Man, if you mess that up, your girlfriend's gonna eat you alive." They both laughed. Loudly, Zira's eyes went wide. She replayed the sentence 3 times. "Eat you alive." She typed it into her translator, hoping for a different meaning, but no, it was clear. She opened her journal and wrote, "Confirmed, human females may consume their partners, but in joking form, it seems normal to them." Then she wrote more. "Also possible, human males eat females too, possibly during mating season." Her heart pounded as she looked through the air vent. She saw human pictures taped on the wall, smiling males and females together, holding hands, kissing, celebrating. She didn't see fear in their faces, but maybe they were pretending. The next morning, the ship shook slightly. Zira looked at the screen and saw it. Earth, blue and white, floating in space like a dream. She had arrived, but now her dream felt like a nightmare. The ship landed quietly on the edge of a city called Clearwater. The humans left the ship to unload supplies. Zira waited, holding her breath, then slipped out and ran. She moved fast, hiding behind boxes, through alleys, and into an old house with no lights. It was quiet, dusty, and empty. Perfect. From the attic of the house, Zira watched the streets. She saw humans walking, talking, laughing, and sharing food. She saw couples sitting on benches, feeding each other from cups and plates. She gasped. "This is how they do it," she whispered. "They feed before the attack." Then she saw one couple clearly, a young male, about 25 Earth years old, and a female with long hair. They sat close, smiling. As the male gave her a small bite of a sweet cake, she accepted it and laughed. Zira leaned closer to the window, confused. Why is she still smiling? Zira said, did she not see the danger? Or maybe she was the one who would eat him later. Zira spent the whole night watching this male. She learned his name was Jason. He lived alone with a small dog named Max. He listened to music, talked to himself, and once even cried watching a movie. Zira took notes. Subject shows signs of deep emotion. Maybe not all humans are dangerous, but she didn't trust it fully. She had to learn more. The next day, she snuck into Jason's backyard and climbed into the garage roof. From there, she could watch him safely, but something went wrong. Max, the dog, smelled her. He barked loudly and ran to the garage. Jason followed, confused. Zira tried to escape, but slipped and crashed through the ceiling into the garage floor. Jason jumped back, shocked. Zira looked up at him, her silver eyes wide. "Don't eat me," she shouted, shaking. Jason blinked. "Wait, what?" he said. "Why would I eat you?" And in that moment, both of them froze. One, confused and scared. The other, stunned by the words she had just said. It was the beginning of something strange. Something neither of them had planned, but it was only the beginning. Jason had never seen anything like her. She looked human, but not quite. Her skin was smooth and shining like silver moonlight. Her hair floated slightly, like it didn't obey gravity. Her eyes were wide, glowing faint blue, filled with fear, confusion, and something else, hope. She crouched in the corner of his garage, hands shaking, repeating one line. "Don't eat me, please. I don't taste good." Jason blinked twice, then dropped the broom he had picked up as a weapon. Okay. "I wasn't planning to," he said, unsure if this was a dream or some kind of sci-fi prank show. Max, the dog, tilted his head, wagged his tail, and sat calmly. Zira looked at the dog, then back at Jason. "If you're not going to eat me," she asked, "what will you do instead?" Jason scratched his head. "I guess I'll get you some water." He walked into the house and returned with a bottle of water and a blanket. Zira sniffed the water like it might explode, then drank carefully. Jason sat down on a toolbox and stared at her. "So what are you?" he asked. Zira hesitated, then said slowly, "I am Veltraxian." Jason laughed a little. "Cool, I guess I'm a Floridian." Zira frowned. "Is that your species or your tribe?" Jason realized she was serious. He put up his hands. "Okay, wait, let's back up. You're an alien, right?" Zira nodded. "And you thought I was going to eat you?" She nodded again. "I heard it," she said. "I heard you say it to your friend on the ship." Jason blinked. "Wait, were you on my cargo ship?" Zira pointed at the air vent in the roof. "I was hiding, learning your language," she said. "You said your girlfriend would eat you alive. I heard it with my own ears." Jason burst out laughing. Zira jumped back, alarmed. "You think it's funny?" she said. "Even when you know how scary it sounds?" No, it's just a saying," Jason explained between laughs. "It doesn't mean eating like that. It means like she'll be mad or angry. It's a joke." Zira's face slowly relaxed. "But the records from my planet say human males also eat females. Sometimes." Jason paused. "Well, technically, yeah, but not like that either." He stood up and opened his phone. He showed Zira pictures, romantic dinners, weddings, movie scenes of couples eating together, not each other. Zira leaned closer. "So, when humans eat with each other, it means they love each other?" "Exactly," Jason nodded. "It's kind of a thing." Zira looked lost in thought. Everything she believed was breaking apart, piece by piece. "Would you show me more?" she asked. Jason looked at her, really looked, and saw how curious. She was not dangerous. He nodded. "Sure, come inside." Zira followed him into the small house, every step careful. She looked at the kitchen like it was an alien lab. Jason handed her a cookie. She turned it over in her hand and sniffed it, then took a tiny bite. Her eyes widened. "This is sweet. And safe?" "Totally safe," Jason said. "You'll love ice cream even more." They sat at the table while Max rested under it. Jason started asking questions. Where was she from? Why did she come? What did her planet think about humans? Zira told him everything, her voice soft, her words sometimes broken, but full of honesty. Jason listened, truly listened, and when she finished, he said, "Look, not all humans are great. Some are bad, just like maybe some aliens are. But if you want to understand Earth, you should stay, learn, see for yourself." Zira nodded slowly. "I want to learn, I want to understand, but I have to report what I find." Jason smiled. "You can report that I gave you cookies and didn't eat you." She smiled back, just a little. It was the first real smile since she landed. But outside, the stars above Earth glowed with danger. Far away, someone else was already looking for her signal. And soon Zira would learn humans may not eat their lovers, but they do fight for them. Zira had never slept in a soft bed before. On Veltrax, beds were made of smooth stone, firm and cold like duty itself. But now, lying on Jason's old couch, wrapped in a fuzzy blanket that smelled like vanilla and dog fur, she felt something. Strange peace. That peace didn't last. In the early morning light, she woke up screaming. She had a dream, a human male with glowing red eyes chasing her through a field, holding a fork. Jason ran in, half asleep, carrying a toaster like a weapon. What happened? He yelled. Zyra sat up, panting. It was a nightmare, she said, but it felt so real. Jason sighed and sat on the floor, rubbing his face. Welcome to Earth, he mumbled. We all have those. Zyra stared at him for a long time. Why are you being nice to me? She asked. Jason looked up, confused. Because you needed help, he said. Isn't that what people are supposed to do? She looked away. Not on my planet. Later that day, Jason brought her a hoodie, sunglasses, and a baseball cap. You'll need these if you want to go outside, he said. You kinda glow. Zyra tried them on, looked in the mirror, and gasped. I look human. Close enough, Jason chuckled. You just need to learn to say bro and complain about traffic. They walked through the streets of Clearwater like two strangers hiding a secret. Zyra saw a woman crying on a bench, and another woman stopped to give her tissues and a hug. She saw a man helping an old lady cross the road. She saw children sharing snacks, laughing, running. None of it looked violent. None of it looked dangerous. At a local diner, Jason ordered pancakes. Zyra poked them with her fork like they might attack, then took a bite and froze. This ... is the best thing I've ever eaten. Wait till you try waffles. Jason smiled. As they walked back to his house, Zyra whispered, maybe your kind isn't what we were taught. Jason nodded, and maybe yours isn't either, but just when things started to feel safe, something changed. At sunset, while Jason was taking Max for a walk, Zyra sat alone, reading his comic books. Suddenly, her wrist scanner lit up bright red. A message appeared. Signal detected. Veltrax Hunter-class vessel entering atmosphere. Her heart stopped. They had found her. She ran to the window and saw something streak across the sky like a falling star. But she knew better. That was no star. She grabbed her small transmitter, turned it off, and buried it under the floorboards. Then she sat on the floor, knees up to her chest, and waited. When Jason returned, he saw her pale face and trembling hands. What happened? He asked. They're coming, she said. My people, they found me. Jason locked the doors, pulled the blinds, and turned off the lights. Okay, he said calmly. We'll figure this out. Zyra shook her head. They'll take me by force. They'll think you brainwashed me. Jason laughed once, without humor. Well, that's a twist, he said. The alien thinks I did the mind control. That night, Zyra couldn't sleep. Every sound outside felt like a soldier. Every flash of light could be a laser. Jason stayed up with her, playing soft music, trying to calm her. Whatever happens, he said, I won't let them hurt you. Zyra looked at him like he had grown two heads. Why? She asked again. Jason shrugged. Because that's what humans do, but outside the city, deep in the woods. Something large landed silently. Its legs folded in like knives, its body shaped like a black insect. Veltrax hunters stepped out, armor shining like obsidian, eyes scanning. They moved like shadows, invisible, unstoppable. They were here for Zyra. They believed she had been captured, poisoned by human charm. But they didn't know Zyra had seen Earth with her own eyes, and worse, they didn't know she had started to care for one of them. The night was quiet, too quiet, and soon that silence would be broken, not by war, but by truth. A truth that would shake both worlds. Zyra stood in Jason's backyard, under the moonlight, wearing his hoodie and holding a slice of pizza like it was alien technology. Is this food? She asked, turning it sideways. Jason laughed. Not just food, it's art. She sniffed it, touched the melted cheese, then finally took a bite. Her eyes widened. This tastes like a warm star, Jason grinned. That's Earth. For you, days passed slowly, filled with small moments. Zyra began to see a different side of Earth, not the violent one in Veltrax files, but a planet full of music, color, and strange kindness. She watched humans dance on screens and cry during songs. She saw strangers giving coins to the poor, friends hugging tightly. Lovers sitting in silence without needing words. Humans were. Loud, confusing, sometimes cruel. But they also laughed, forgave, created. They weren't just survivors. They were feelers. Jason took her to a park at sunrise. She watched the sky change from gray to pink to gold. No one was fighting. No one was screaming. Back home, the sun rises the same every day. No colors, she whispered. Jason handed her a warm cup of coffee. Here, it tastes better with sunrise. Zira learned about Earth food, Earth books, Earth dreams. She watched movies and asked questions about every scene. Why are they kissing? Why is he crying? Why did she lie and then say sorry? Jason explained each thing with patience, like a teacher, or maybe like a friend. At night, Zira recorded secret messages into her scanner. She whispered everything she saw and felt. Humans do not eat each other in love, she said. They eat together, laugh together, sometimes cry together. But I don't know if I should trust it, or if this is just him. One afternoon, Jason gave her an old phone. You can use this to explore more, he said. She tapped into the internet, and that's when everything changed. She saw history, wars, slavery, pain, hatred, greed, endless violence. She saw humans burning forests, polluting oceans, hurting each other in cruel ways. Her hands shook, her eyes filled with tears. Why didn't you show me this? She asked, voice breaking. Jason looked down. Because I hoped you'd see the better side first. Now you've seen both. Zira sat outside in silence for hours, watching ants carry crumbs across the patio. Jason sat beside her. We're not perfect, he said. We're messy. We make mistakes, big ones, but some of us try to fix them. She turned to him. I don't know what to believe now. Believe what you feel, Jason said softly. Not what someone else told you to feel. Later that night, her scanner beeped again. It was a silent coda message from Veltrax. We are near. Prepare for extraction. Zira's breath caught. They were here, and she had little time left. She stood in Jason's room and looked around. Posters of space, books on human emotions, a photo of him as a child hugging a dog. All of it felt strangely homelike. Jason came in, holding a photo frame. This is my mom, he said. She used to say, understanding someone is the first step to peace. Zira looked at the photo, a smiling woman with kind eyes. Would she have helped me too? Jason nodded. In a heartbeat, Zira stared at her reflection in the window. Hoodie half-zipped, hair tied up, eyes tired but alive. She no longer looked like the Veltrax soldier who escaped to Earth. She looked like someone caught between two worlds, not sure which one to choose. She opened her journal one more time and wrote, Earth is broken, beautiful, dangerous kind. Humans are not monsters, but they are not angels either. They are something else. Something real. Far above the clouds, hidden by darkness, the Veltrax vessel floated silently. Listening, waiting, preparing. Zira didn't know if they would come to save her or punish her. But she knew one thing now. The humans had changed her, and she wasn't sure she could go back to who she was before. The stars didn't look the same anymore. Zira sat on the roof, hugging her knees, eyes fixed on the sky above her. The stars of Veltrax blinked coldly, like distant judges waiting to deliver a verdict. She wasn't the same girl who had hidden on a cargo ship. Something inside her had shifted, and she couldn't tell if it was dangerous or beautiful. Jason climbed up the ladder with 2 mugs of hot cocoa. No signal from space tonight? He asked, trying to sound casual. Zira didn't answer. She just took the cup and whispered, they'll land in 48 hours. Jason froze. Oh, he said, quietly. So, what now? Zira didn't know. Returning meant safety, her own people, her old life. But staying meant more questions, more risk. More of this strange warmth she had begun to feel. The next day, Jason took her to a wedding. He thought it might help. Humans call it love, he said. But really, it's 2 people choosing each other again and again. Zira watched from the back. hidden under a cap and sunglasses. There were no weapons, no threats, no fear, only tears, laughter, rings, and vows. The couple promised to stay together in life and death. And the people clapped. Zyra leaned toward Jason. "They're agreeing to die together?" Jason smiled. "No, they're agreeing to live together. Until they die." Zyra blinked slowly. It didn't make sense, and yet, it did, in a strange human way. Later that night, she stood alone in the forest behind the house, speaking softly. Into her scanner, "This world is chaotic and full of pain," she said. "But it also holds something I don't have a name for. I think it might be meaning." Back inside, Jason showed her something he had been working on. A small wooden box filled with little earth things, photos, rocks, notes, even one of her broken scanner pieces. "I'm calling it the Zyra box," he said, a little embarrassed. "It's just stuff that reminds me of you." Zyra looked at the items as if they were artifacts from a lost galaxy. To Jason, they were just memories. To her, they were proof that she was real here, that she mattered. The next morning, she packed a small bag. Jason saw it and didn't say anything. He just nodded, trying not to look sad. "You have to do what's right," he said. Zyra stared at him. "But I don't know what that is anymore." Jason took a deep breath. "You'll figure it out," he said. "Whatever you choose." "I'm glad you landed here." She didn't respond. She just walked to the backyard, sat under the same stars, and whispered to herself, "Do I belong to the place I came from, or the place that changed me?" Later that night, her scanner received one final message. "Extraction in 6 hours, location confirmed. Prepare for pickup." Zyra stood at the window, watching Jason sleep on the couch, Max curled beside him. She placed her journal on the table, along with her translator. Then she opened the door and stepped into the night. The air was cool, the ground damp, and the stars above seemed to wait in silence. Zyra took one step forward, then another. Every part of her wanted to run. But she didn't know in which direction anymore. The choice wasn't just between planets. It was between the life she had been given and the life she had found. Behind her, Jason stirred, as if he felt something leaving, but he didn't call out. He simply whispered in his sleep, "Goodbye, space girl." And Zyra walked into the darkness, toward the unknown, not because she had the answer, but because the question finally mattered. Asterisk, the sky cracked open at 3:17 a.m. No thunder, no warning. Just a silent rip, like the stars themselves were holding their breath. A ship slipped through, black and sharp like a blade in the night. It hovered high above Clearwater, invisible to human eyes, but Zyra felt it. She was standing barefoot, in the middle of the woods, staring straight up. "They're here," she whispered. Jason woke to the sound of Max growling. His phone buzzed, showing strange static across every app. Then the lights flickered and died. The house went still, too still. Like the world had stepped out of time, Zyra returned without a sound. Clothes damp with dew, her face unreadable. Jason looked at her and somehow knew. "It's happening, isn't it?" She nodded. "They think I've been captured, changed, maybe even infected by human ideas." Jason gave a bitter smile. "Well, can't argue with that." Zyra didn't laugh. "Jason, they won't ask questions. They don't believe in mistakes. They'll erase everything that looks like one." Just then, a high-pitched pulse rang out, like a scream only the earth could hear. 3 Veltrac soldiers appeared in the yard, tall, armored, their eyes glowing red through black helmets. Jason backed up. "Okay, this feels a lot less peaceful than I was hoping for." Zyra stepped in front of him. "Let me talk to them," she said. The soldiers raised their arms, weapons charging. "Subject Zyra," one of them said. "You will be returned immediately, under military rule." "No," Zyra replied calmly. "You don't understand." The soldiers didn't hesitate. They moved forward like machines. Jason grabbed the flashlight and stood beside her. "I know. It's a terrible weapon," he said. "But I'm not letting them take you." Zyra turned, eyes wide. "You would fight them?" Jason shrugged. I've seen enough alien movies to know when it's time to make a dumb choice. Zira smiled faintly, then stepped forward, hands raised. Wait, she said to the soldiers. Let me show you something, she took out her scanner and played a video clips of her days on Earth. Children dancing, couples laughing, a woman giving a homeless man a coat, Jason showing her how to make pancakes, Max licking her hand. The soldiers watched silently. These creatures are violent, one said. Zira pointed at the screen. So are we, sometimes, but look at what else they are. They love, they create, they heal. They change just like I did. The lead soldier stepped closer. You were not sent to Earth to feel, he said coldly. Zira's voice trembled but stayed strong. Then maybe that's the problem. Jason walked up beside her. You don't have to believe us, he said, but at least listen. We're not perfect, we mess things up a lot. But we're trying. Silence. The forest held its breath. Then a voice came through the soldiers' comes. It was a cold female voice. Zira will return and explain herself to the High Council. If the humans interfere, they will be classified as hostile. Zira looked at Jason. I have to go, she said. He shook his head. You don't, she nodded sadly. I do, because if I don't, they'll never hear the truth from someone who lived it. But I will come back, I promise. Jason reached into his pocket and pulled out a tiny stone from her box. He pressed it into her hand. For your pocket, in case Veltrax forgets what Earth felt like. She held it tightly. It's heavy, she said. It's real. He replied. The soldiers surrounded her and activated the beam. Light swallowed her, and then she was gone. Jason stood alone under the stars. No ship in the sky, no noise in the woods. Just a quiet space where something once changed him forever. But far, far away, on a cold steel ship heading for a distant galaxy. Zira opened her journal and wrote one final line for the night. They came to take me back, but Earth never really let me go. The courtroom on Veltrax was made of cold crystal walls that echoed every sound. It was shaped like a giant eye, always watching, always judging. Zira stood alone in the center. Under a beam of white light, around her, thousands of Veltrax citizens sat in silence. Above her, the High Council floated in glass pods, faceless and distant. She could feel the weight of her homeworld pressing down on her. Not just the gravity, but the expectations, the rules, the old fear. You will speak now, said a voice from the highest pod. You lived among the humans. Tell us what they are. Zira took a deep breath. She was not the same girl who had escaped in fear. She was something new now. Something they wouldn't understand unless she showed them. She activated her scanner, and a hologram of Earth appeared above her head. Not maps or data, but moments. A child's laugh in a park, an old couple dancing in a kitchen, Jason handing her a flower made from napkins, a dog resting peacefully under a table. They are dangerous, Zira said, her voice calm. The crowd stirred. But so are we, she continued. And that is not the whole truth. She looked up at the council. You told me humans eat their mates, that they live in chaos, that they destroy all things. I believed you. Until I met them, she paused, letting the silence stretch. I saw love, she said. I saw people fight for each other, not against each other. I saw pain, but I also saw healing. They have stories, music, mistakes, and hope. One council member interrupted. Hope is not evidence. Zira raised her hand. Then let me give you proof. She played the recording of Jason, just his voice, gentle and unsure, saying, we're not perfect, but we try. And maybe that's what makes us worth knowing. The courtroom was silent. Zira looked around. At her people, we study life, she said, but we forget to live it. We demand order, but reject change. I changed, she said, pressing her hand to her chest. I went there to hide, but I found myself. Someone in the crowd stood up, a young cadet, eyes wide. Would you return? He asked. Zira nodded. Yes, but not as a spy or a fugitive. I want to go back as a bridge, the High Council whispered among themselves, their pods humming. Then the lead voice returned. You were disobedient. it said. You broke protocol, endangered yourself, and lied to your people. Zira bowed her head. Yes, she said. But I told the truth when it mattered. Another long pause. Then the council gave its decision. You will not be punished. The voice said. You will return to Earth as an observer, with full support. But know this. If the humans fail your words, the judgment will return. Zira nodded. I understand. Outside the chamber, crowds began to gather, not in protest but in curiosity. A new word began to spread across Veltrax. Earthling, no longer a word for danger, but a symbol of mystery, of potential, of something different. A week later, Zira stood on a new shuttle, heading back toward the blue planet. She held Jason's stone in her hand, smooth and warm from her touch. And when Earth finally came into view, floating like a blue marble in the dark, she smiled. Jason was waiting at the landing site, holding 2 cups of coffee and Max on a leash. He waved as she stepped down. Took you long enough, he said. Zira smiled back. I had to convince the galaxy you weren't going to eat me, he handed her the coffee. So what now? Zira looked at the sky, then at him. Now? She said, we write a new chapter, and somewhere far above, satellites turned, stars blinked, and 2 worlds quietly took their first real step toward each other.